Nigeria and Angola responsible for majority of oil supply shortfall, says OPEC. CBN poised to expand Nigeria's export earnings to 200 billion naira in 4 years. Oil climbs ahead of EU meeting on Russia sanctions. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. The United States of America ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, disclosed that Nigeria will continue to be eligible for preferential trade access to the U.S. market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Leonard, on the visit to the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Dini Adebayo, said Nigeria became eligible after a review of the criteria set by the U.S. Congress under the AGOA. She said the criteria for eligibility, among other things, included the establishment of a market-based economy, rule of law, political pluralism, right to due process, fair trial, equal protection under the law, elimination of barriers to U.S. trade and investment, economic policies to reduce poverty, a system to combat corruption and bribery, and protection of internationally recognized workers' rights. The U.S. ambassador, however, expressed her government concern on the availability and accessibility of U.S. firms to Forex, particularly their ability to repatriate revenue and fulfill loan obligations in timely manner, child labor, and respect for the rule of law. The minister, who expressed happiness with the U.S. government report, which allowed Nigeria to continue to enjoy preferential trade access to the U.S. market, said the report was an affirmation of the progress the country was making to reposition the economy for better performance. He explained that the federal government had established the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, under the chairmanship of Vice President and himself as Vice Chairman to improve the business environment. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria is poised to expand Nigeria's export earnings to $200 billion in 4 years through the RT, or Race to 200 incentives to exporters in the country. Director of Trade and Exchange, CBN, Ozumina Naji, reiterated this while on an inspection tour of some factories funded under the Apex Bank Real Sector Support Facility and differentiated cash reserve requirement interventions in company of some senior officials of the bank in Lagos. Abuladi Islami reports.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, in its quest to ensure a robust and vibrant economy, has designed various incentives to sustain continuous improvement of critical national infrastructure for economic growth and stability, as part of measures to ensure appropriate utilization of funds disbursed to companies under the 300 billion naira Real Sector Support Facility. Some senior officials of the bank visited manufacturing companies to assess level of performance.
As you recall, recently, the Central Bank introduced the RT 200 policy designed to boost the non-oil sector. And what Candle is doing here is quite complementary to that policy. Again, it is providing the needed support to the agric sector, which will also feed into the policy of government to diversify the productive base of the Nigerian economy.
On the team's arrival at the Lekki Free Trade Zone for on-the-spot assessments on the 2 billion naira intervention fund under the Agric Credit Scheme, Director of Development Finance, CBN, Philip Yila Yusuf, said the Apex Bank is satisfied with the manner the company has invested the funds, which in turn has led to creation of more jobs.
As the central bank, will continue to support them, will continue to work with them. Quite a lot of jobs, very important for us, both direct and indirect, that we've seen on the floor line. So overall, very happy.
Some beneficiaries of the Central Bank of Nigeria Intervention Fund, while acknowledging the significant impact of the credit to the growth of their operations, described the single-digit interest rate as a big relief.
The 2 years moratorium we get extra, and the intervention of course give us relief, especially it came in the right time, in the corona time where the business was down. Then dropping the interest from 2-digit to a single digit for another 5 years to 7 years, that of course make any business great and easy. That make this business happen actually.
The resolve of the Apex Bank towards supporting the development of the real sector and agricultural value chain, as well as selected subsectors, the directors say is aimed at driving sustainable economy. In Lagos, Abolade Salami.
Well, since independence in 1960 to date, Nigeria has served as a political game arena for 2 different regimes, namely military regime and democratic regime. Democracy and development are the twin words that have formed part of national debates. At 23, in what way has democracy aided growth and development? I have in the studio Ogbonna Okuku, an economist. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, 23 years of unbroken democracy. How would you rate Nigeria's economic performance during the period?
All right, let me. Generally, you can, because I mean, if you ask me, let's look at it from an economic development point of view. There are basic things you must look out for. One, you look at rules, ways of doing things in the nation and in the society. Then number 2, you look at the institutions, because these are a set of individuals who are saddled with responsibilities to carry out certain activities that will help bring a better society. And then you look at number 3. Number 3 is the critical mass of an informed citizenry. And then the 4th one, which is political leadership, because every of the other 3 things I've mentioned are all based on kind of political leadership you've had. Now, if we look at the political leadership we've had for the past, years since the democracy came back, you will see that, one, we've not been able to get that most important part, which is having the critical mass of an informed citizenry. Now, why do I say this? I say this because you have to be well informed to even know what to expect from leaders. 2, leaders will always come from that same circle of people where you can, from that same critical mass. So, number 3, so who are the people who run the institutions? Still the same people who come from that particular circle. So, if you look at it holistically, you will now begin to ask yourself, why do we expect so much to have happened when you don't have an informed citizen? You don't have a large mass of people that are informed. Because at the end of the day, you still have a lot of people who are still shouting, yeah, yeah, than people who will look at processes. Because,
But where are we now?
Where are we? Are we saying in terms of growth?
In terms of growth.
Yes, if you look in terms of growth, yes, we've done quite significantly, we've made some progress here and there. But economic development is a holistic work. It's like a wheel. Education, healthcare, you have to look at trade and investment, you have to look at the environment. There's so many things that come together. So if you're doing well in infrastructure, you're not doing well in education, you have not done well.
Okay, let's say infrastructure, for instance.
Yeah, infrastructure. A lot of things have happened. In the past few years, especially this present administration, have actually invested a whole lot of money when it comes to infrastructure, because the road to the farms have to be done. Now, see, the segmentation of those who have the statutory rights to provide good access to roads the state, the federal, there's no confluence of what roads should be done based on an economic plan that has to be married within the state and then those at the federal level. So you see, we are doing, railways. So we're actually still doing the basic things now. So if we started many years ago, let's say from Obasanjo's time, to do railways in Nigeria, we shouldn't be talking about railways today. So we just started doing railways. And then as it is now, because we are focused so much on railways, you see security is also having issues. So you see, that's why I said it's a wheel. So these are things that ought to have happened from the time that Obasanjo came into power. We would have designed a roadmap where if Obasanjo leaves, the next person that comes, Yaradua, he takes over from where Obasanjo. It doesn't matter what political party you belong to. There has to be a development plan for a nation. That's how nations work. That's how nations grow.
Okay, but if you were to rate our economic development so far, what figure would you put us?
We're still let's say from 1 to 10.
Yeah, 1
Maybe
to 10.
We could see
1 to 10.
What about 5 over 10?
Okay.
Yes, I could leave it. Let me leave it at that.
What about other vital sectors like the agriculture?
That's what I'm saying. Significant investment have been made by this present administration in agriculture. Now, how long will it take you to get agriculture to work? Because agriculture is not about going to farm to bring out maybe cassava or bring out crops. No, you have to now look at the value chain. How are you able to get value for that same crop? Let me use cassava for example. We are the largest producers of cassava in the world. Thailand is the second largest producer of cassava in the world. We earn about less than $100 million from cassava, while the second largest producer of cassava, Thailand, makes about $2 billion from cassava yearly. So you see, we produce cassava, we've not added so much value to cassava because these are things that take many years. It takes about 15 to 20 years for you to be able to develop a roadmap to industrialize, to be able to grow your economy, so that when people are talking, you will come as a member of, those who are producing stuff. Ask yourself, just like you have Pajan rug. Pajan rug means a rug that comes from a particular. Why can't we have a cap that comes from Nigeria that is known by all over everybody in the world? So these are the things we're talking about. So basically, for over many years, we've been doing it's been rhetorics. Now we have started doing the basics. So I believe that from the foundation that is being built now by the present administration, so the coming administration should pick up from here and then build on it, so that let's say in the next 10, 15 years, we will have a robust economy that will be able to compete favorably with everybody in the world.
Okay, principles and practice of democracy promotes economic development and growth. Is this our case?
Now, this brings me to what we call public value proposition. Okay. All right. Now, this is the ability to have a yardstick to check those who are going to be public managers if they have what it takes to carry out what they say that they are going to be able to do. Now, if you look at that, because they're going to be taking advantage of public assets, instrumentality of government, your national budget, to implement, to bring out some of these economic goals that we are looking at. So if, for example, you say, this is a roadmap for me in the next 8 years. Now, looking at it realistically, with that, your public value proposition, you will see that some of these things are not realizable you can't realize them in those 8 years. So there has to be a succession plan, so that there'll be a continuation. So that's what I'm just trying to say. Because if you look at what has happened in the past administrations, nobody ever follows what the next person leaves. Everybody leaves it and goes to another plan. So if you don't have a comprehensive plan, you can't work. So we'll get a little here done, we'll get some good scores here, and then we'll get some good scores here, but the country suffers because at the end of the day, there's no holistic plan that will give us that expected results.
Okay, thank you very much, Ogbonna Okuku, for coming to share your thoughts with us.
All right, thanks.
I didn't really realize the time has really gone.
Thank you so much.
Let's now join Muplan Dakok for a week-ended report.
Trading on the Nigerian exchange group ended last week on a positive note as equities struggled to stay afloat. The all-share index gained 2.09% in the week ended 27th May 2022 at 54,085.02 basis points, with market capitalization appreciating to 29.1 trillion naira. However, all other indices finished lower with the exception of NGX main board, which appreciated, while NGX ASEM and NGX sovereign bond indices closed flat. The financial services industry led the activity chart in terms of volume of traded shares with 1.286 billion shares. It was followed by the conglomerates industry and the consumer goods industry. EcoBank, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria and Jais Bank were the top three equities traded by volume. They jointly accounted for 640.6 million shares worth 4.824 billion naira in 2,098 deals. 26,718 units of exchange-traded products ETPs valued at 2.381 million naira were traded in 26 deals, as well as 157,574 units of federal government bonds valued at 164.735 million naira. 23 equities appreciated in price, 54 equities depreciated in price, while 79 equities remained unchanged.
It's a negative start on the Nigerian stock market as the NGX all-share index depreciated this Monday at 53,772.14 index point. Market capitalization dropped to 28.9 trillion naira from 29.1 trillion naira in the previous session. 27.5 million shares were traded by investors in 4,586 deals valued at 194.3 billion naira. And now let's take a trip to the commodities market. Let's now join Neka Oko for Global Stocks Update.
European stocks advanced on Monday as the US dollar weakened, with traders easing expectations of aggressive monetary tightening from the Federal Reserve. The DAX in Germany added 0.66%, London's FTSE topped 0.33%, while France's CAC 40 gained 0.68%. In Asia, stocks also rose across board as investors look ahead to major economic data releases later in the week. Japanese stocks led gains among the region's major markets, with the Nikkei 225 rising 2.19% to 27,369.43. The Shanghai Composite also added 0.6%, while Hong Kong Hang Seng Index advanced 2.06%. However, markets in the US are closed for the Memorial Day holiday after the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average snapped losing streaks to post their strongest week since November 2020. And now back home, African markets started the week in mixed territory, with South Africa still maintaining its lead in the region with a 1.31% increase at 64,717.08. Tunisia and Namibia also recorded slight gains, while Kenya and Ghana declined. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
Thank you, Neka. Well, Business Experts returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. Thanks for watching.